Hello and welcome to Body Bags. My name is James and I'm your Sunday night reviewer. And this evening I'll be reviewing the Australian Ozploitation classic Razorback. Now I know last week I said that I was going to do Hotel Inferno 2, but this came in the post and I was like, I haven't seen this for a long time and I really want to jump on it and watch it again. So that's why I decided to put this one on and give this a watch. This is a great release by Umbrella. They've done a really nice job and there's quite a few extras on here. But anyway, that's talking about the release. Let me talk about the film. So this was a 1984 film by Russell Malkai, I think is how you pronounce his name. Obviously an Australian guy. And it's about a killer boar. A Razorback. Yeah. I think most people have heard of this, but not necessarily everyone's seen it. It's not too many different releases of it around. There's a few DVDs. And Umbrella had an out of print Blu-ray, but they've just released this. I think this actually came out. This is a brand new release actually, so it's worth picking up. But like I said, this is a 1984 Ozploitation classic, and it actually starts off pretty sad. It's straight into into some really good scenery. Actually, it's all set late at night. We have all these like it's called eerie setting because it's out in the Australian outback, and the boar makes an immediate appearance and actually takes. Most likely kills one of the characters, his grandchild, and so the start of the film is like the court case on whether he killed the child. No one believes him that he was the giant boar. Like I said, it's a pretty sad start, and then it picks up 2 years later. Yeah, once all that's happened, we're in America. And there's a reporter, and I've just watched this and I can't remember how she picked up on the story, but she decides to go to Australia. Like I said, it's 2 years later and she wants to try and find out what happened over there. So she tracks them down in this small like outback town in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the outback, and she finds the guy. And yeah, she starts doing a little bit of digging around, and she actually manages to piss off a couple of the degenerate locals who decide to take a little bit of retribution against her and actually chase her down the one night and try to rape her. And they actually get interrupted by our next visit from the Razorback, and he kind of quite brutally, I don't know, almost scary way. It's quite a well done scene, but the boar kills her, and then basically we have you're kind of following the film and you're thinking that she's the main character, and then she gets killed off, and it's actually her husband, and he's trying to find out what's happening with her. He befriends a local woman who is actually also friends with the grandfather at the start of the film, who obviously has seen the boar. He's the only one that's ever seen this boar. So they actually start to try and track down and kill the boar, and it ends up that they're tracking the boar, the Razorback, and these two degenerates. And it's quite a good, fulfilling story. It goes on nice. It's quite well thought out. Yeah, it's got a couple of I wouldn't say twists, but it moves along nicely. It takes some interesting directions in how it wants to go, and it ends up quite a satisfying end to the film. The actual setting of this film, it looks stunning. It's obviously in the outback, so when it's in the daytime, it's all these like dusty, desolate, barren landscapes, which are obviously a lot like how the outback is. It's you just get hot and dry mouth watching it, and it's quite scary. Yeah, you see the like that how big everything is and how empty everything is. It's kind of a feel of not like, well, yeah, kind of loneliness, but like you're just there on your own. If anything happens, it's like shit, you're stuck. And then when you have the night scene, you have everything kind of backlit, so you have some great like lights popping out at you all the time, and yeah, it's kind of startling because they have these two degenerates, kangaroo hunters, and it kind of is like that they're kind of the same like the rabbit in the headlights sort of thing. And the kangaroos, when they see the light, they're like a kind of, they freeze and look at it, and it's kind of like that. You're looking around, it's like everything pops out. And there's some great use of colours as well, almost Argento-esque. Like some of the, like, you've got greens and reds and blues, and it looks really stunning. Yeah, and there's the two degenerates. Ugh, sorry, it's really late here. I've had a very long day. I've travelled a few hundred kilometres today, so pretty tired. I do apologise. But yeah, the degenerates, their home or hole or cave, like that's some of the setting and where they work. It's called like a pet pack. It's kind of, it's not a slaughterhouse. It's where the dead carcasses go afterwards. But it's two pretty cool settings, and there's obviously the local pub. There's always a pub in Australian films, so that's all part of it. And there's some more of the landscape actually, like with our American actor. So he befriends these two degenerates at one point because he's trying to find out what's happened to his wife, and they go on this crazy like kangaroo hunt, and yeah, they actually end up leaving him in the middle of nowhere, and he runs off because he hears and sees the boar, the razorback, and he gets away, but then he's totally lost, and he's trying to find his way to some kind of civilization, and he's in the heat, and he starts hallucinating, and some of the hallucination scenes look very cool as well. Kind of not quite Dali-esque, but there's some like, yeah, they just look very cool. It's kind of accentuated that kind of like barren landscapeness with some very unusual scenery, like these kind of kind of stone plinths which are around in some of the scenes. But it looks very, very cool. And speaking of looking cool, the actual bull, I don't know, I keep saying bull, I'm so tired. The Razorback, the animatronic Razorback, it looks great. I don't think there was a huge budget for this. I think I read somewhere it's like $250,000 Australian dollars, which is not the strong. I don't know what it was like back in the mid 80s, but I know now it's not such a strong currency, so that's not such a huge amount. And I think probably a fair old chunk of the whole budget went on the boar. The animatronic kind of motion isn't the best, but the actual boar itself looks very cool, and how they film it is like kind of, when you see it in the daytime, it's like hidden. There's one scene where it's hidden behind this huge trough with live pigs going around it, so that's pretty cool. And at night time, it's like all kind of when it's moving, you have this kind of insane, crazy shaky cam, but it looks really good. Especially at one point, he kind of just tears half of this house off, and this guy's just sat there drinking beer, watching his TV disappear into the distance. There's quite a few cool scenes like that, and thinking about it now, it's like, yeah, some quite iconic scenes I think that will stick, that I'll remember for quite a while. But yeah, overall, this is a really good film. It's great. There's a good story to it. There's pretty solid acting. Like some of the Australian acting is the crazy acting. Think of like the original. I can't think now. Like the Road Warrior and things like that. In Mad Max, you've got like these crazy guys in there. It's like these two degenerates in this film, kind of like they're taken from that. They're kind of that level of crazy, and they're quite good actors. When you're playing a bit of a crazy one, it's like, I don't think you have to be a great actor as long as you can pull off the craziness pretty well. And then the main guy is Gregory Harrison, I think. It's a name I'm not actually sure of, actually. But yeah, everyone else is pretty solid in the film. There's some like good emotion. There's some good scares in it. Like I said, there's some like funny bits and pieces, and the dialogue's pretty strong. Overall, like, this is a really good early Ozploitation film, like from the 80s. And I highly recommend this, and especially this release. This is a great release. It has a lot of extras, but I'm not going to go into that now. So I think I'll give this like a solid 8 out of 10. And that's my review. I apologise for being very, very tired. I need to go to bed now because I've had a very hectic week at work. But this has been your Sunday night review, and maybe next week you'll get Hotel Inferno too. I'll see what happens. But I hope you all have a great night, and thank you. Good night.